Hello and welcome. So I'll explain clearly why the US invaded Afghanistan, what was their motive, and what they lost and gained. So in the start, our war begins. On September 20th, 2001, just days after the attacks on the Twin Towers, President George W. Bush stood before Congress and delivered a message that would echo across the world. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists. That night, the path to war was set. America was angry, wounded, and determined to strike back. But beneath the emotions, behind the headlines, there was something else. A deeper motive. A quiet plan already forming. The war that would follow would not just reshape Afghanistan. It would reshape the entire world. This is the story of how the United States invaded Afghanistan, not just to capture one man, but to change the course of global power forever. Now, the day that changed everything, on September 11th, 2001, a date carved into history. 4 planes, 19 hijackers, nearly 3,000 lives lost. The world watched in disbelief as America came under attack on its own soil. And within hours, intelligence agencies named their suspect, Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda. But bin Laden wasn't in America. He wasn't in Europe. He was believed to be hiding in Afghanistan under the rule of the Taliban, a fundamentalist regime that had already isolated the nation from the rest of the world. In Washington, a decision was made almost instantly. The US would go to war, not against a country, but an entire ideology. The war on terror had begun. The Taliban's response to it. When America demanded the Taliban hand over Osama bin Laden, the world expected immediate defiance. But the Taliban's answer wasn't as simple as no. They responded cautiously, asking for proof of bin Laden's involvement in the 9/11 attacks. Their leader proposed 3 options to avoid bloodshed. 1. The Taliban would punish him themselves under Islamic law if evidence was provided. 2. They would gather Muslim nations to decide his fate collectively. 3. Or the US could forgive him, allowing peace to prevail. But the US refused. No proof, no dialogue, no delay. President Bush's words still echoed. You are either with us or with the terrorists. Within weeks, diplomacy was dead, and the bombs were ready to fall. The hidden agenda behind it. Publicly, it was about justice. Privately, it was about power. High-ranking officials, and including George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and Donald Rumsfeld, began mapping out not only Afghanistan, but an entire new global strategy. Internal memos revealed discussions about a long war, one that would extend across the Middle East into Iraq, Syria, and Iran. Afghanistan wasn't chosen just because of Osama bin Laden. It was chosen because of its location, sitting between Iran, China, Russia, and Pakistan, a perfect military outpost, a bridge between worlds. So while the US claimed to be fighting terrorists, it was also securing influence and a foothold in the heart of Asia. The time when the invasion began. On October 7th, 2001, the sky over Afghanistan lit up with explosions. The US and its allies launched Operation Enduring Freedom. Airstrikes hit Kabul, Kandahar, and Jalalabad. The Taliban government fell within weeks. The world celebrated America's victory. But the real story was only beginning. Thousands of Afghan civilians died. Entire families were displaced. And a new government, backed and controlled by the US, took power in Kabul. America promised a democracy. But what followed was chaos, corruption, and endless war. Despite all the destruction, Osama bin Laden wasn't captured. He escaped. For nearly 10 years, US troops searched caves, bombed villages, and hunted shadows across mountains and borders. But when he was finally found, it wasn't in Afghanistan. It was in Abbottabad, Pakistan, in 2011. By then, the war had already consumed 2 decades. Over 200,000 Afghans were dead. The US had spent more than $2 trillion, and the Taliban, once defeated, was stronger than ever. The real reason behind why the US did it, Afghanistan, was never only about Al-Qaeda. It was about control. Control of geography. Control of resources. Control of the region. The war allowed America to build military bases near China, Iran, and Russia, 3 of its biggest rivals. It allowed the defense industry to profit billions through contracts and reconstruction deals. For every bomb that fell, there was someone making money behind it. War had become business, and Afghanistan became the market. Meanwhile, ordinary Afghans paid the price. Their homes destroyed, their futures stolen, their lives trapped in a war they never started. 2 decades later, in August 2021, the United States finally withdrew. But what was left behind was not victory. It was collapse. Scenes of desperation filled the world's screens, people clinging to airplanes, pleading for escape. The Afghan army, built and funded for 20 years, crumbled in days. And the Taliban, the very group America had vowed to destroy, took control once again. For America, it was the end of a costly mistake. For Afghanistan, it was the end of hope. In the end, the truth stands clear. America didn't invade Afghanistan to bring peace. It invaded to show power. It won the war on paper, but lost something far greater, its moral authority. Because truth has a way of surviving. Through ruins, through silence, through history. Afghanistan didn't attack America, yet Afghanistan paid the price. The invasion wasn't a mission of justice. It was a display of dominance. Like in Iraq, Yemen, Syria, and the whole Middle East, the war here, it was a war that never should have happened 20 years. Trillions spent, hundreds of thousands of lives lost. And in the end, nothing changed, only the faces of the victims. The US may have left Afghanistan, but the scars remain. The invasion of Afghanistan wasn't just a war, it was a lesson. That no matter how strong a nation is, when truth becomes its enemy, it loses itself. And that is the quiet truth behind the US invasion of Afghanistan. So what I explained is just the main upper thing on what happened in Afghanistan. If you want detailed videos on topics like these, let me know in the comments.